B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. Big block engine with 26 inches on the chrome I ride. Started at the bottom, soared to the top and still on the ride. Air handshake solid, see the deal airtight. He gave you the blueprint to grind and get your hustle right. Money in the vision, it was dirty but he washed it clean. Turned a dollar to a dream, now he living like a king. From the late nights grinding to the early bird moves. Ask around the city, he really that dude. He love how he talk it cause he walk it too. Every step calculated, everything come through. From the hood by the views, yeah, the rooftop views. He the bridge between the struggle and the good life views. Never fold under pressure, shine like a diamond in the sun. Every loss was a lesson, every win is hard won. Now the crowd chant his name when he steps in the room. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, you know he's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a controversy, but it will be a banger. Will ruffle some feathers, so it's most definitely gonna be a doozy. Now, I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. So we can get right into this thing. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても実際は世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったさんのこっち見ない。
Your competitors, niggas better catch up like 10 steps ahead. Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Throw them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making packs move. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really in me. My pimp ain't international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad. And we are activated. So y'all see it right on here. And before I get into it, I have to give a shout out to an illustrious guest, the prolific, the prominent, the captivating Miss Jackie Gaines in the building. Now, in case you've been under a rock, there has been this huge scandal and controversy and hoopla surrounding these British award ceremony where the N-bomb was dropped. And I get it. People say it's just a word, but somehow that's the only word that they say that about. other words, we should be sensitive and we should respect people's feelings. But when it comes to the N word, well, y'all say it. Who is y'all? Not every person uses that word. So because a handful or a significant amount of people use the word, then everybody should be okay with being called the word because a significant amount of people don't use the word, right? So respect the people who say here it's okay to say the word, but disrespect the people who say, no, I don't like to say that word. So this is why I have merch coming out. Shout out to Johnson Different, helping me press these up. All slurs matter. Fine. Since the N word is just a word, these other slurs are just a word. And I'm going to work to popularize these other slurs. Slurs we didn't come up with, but hey, all slurs matter, right? People are against DEI and affirmative action. So let's include all the slurs and use them equally. But don't worry, I don't mean it like that. I mean it in an endearing way. The same way that you say nigga all the time. I grew up around blacks and that's why I'm saying nigga so much. Well, I grew up around Mexicans, so that's why I'm saying wetback, like Cesar Chavez said. But don't worry, I don't mean it like that. If I call him a spick, I mean it in the utmost respectful way. So let's get into the overview before I play some of the videos. So the incident during the 2026 BAFTA Film Awards at the Royal Festival Hall, Tourette syndrome campaigner John Davidson in the audience, and he was featured in the biopic I Swear, had involuntary vocal tics while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, both black actors, were on stage presenting. One of those tics included the N-word, clearly audible in the hall and on the BBC's delayed broadcast. Davidson, including obscene and offensive words, are known part of his condition. During the ceremony, it was explained that the outbursts were involuntary and not intentional, right? So if you know that this person has a involuntary proclivity for shouting out offensive epithets and slurs, why the hell would you have them in the front mic'd up? You know what I mean? We're just helping disabled people. Okay, how did this help disabled people? By putting a disabled person in the front row calling people niggers? No, it brings awareness that he can't control that he's calling people niggers, right? So that helps black people be aware that people with Tourette's could occasionally call them nigger. Okay. So the BBC was not airing the show live. It was not airing the show live. It had a 2-hour tape delay, right? So they wanted these people to be intentionally called niggers. Now we can say, okay, the dude had the disability. My issue isn't so much with the dude, it's with the organization. They had 2 hours to edit it out, but they say, you know what, calling black people niggers is fine. Apparently he had called some woman a bitch. That was unacceptable. Apparently some dude went up there and said free, free, free Palestine. That was unacceptable. But guess what was acceptable? Saying nigger. And, he didn't mean it like that. Well, why, when the white people came up there, why didn't he say nigger to the white people? His outburst was perfectly timed when the black people went up there to call them niggers, right? The woman that he called a bitch, why didn't he call her a nigger, right? Apparently he said some homophobic slur, but what slur was that? You don't know. Did he say yagget with an F? What did he say? Did he say, mag, drop the M, add the F? What did he say? See, you don't know what he said because he said it about a specific demographic. We must protect gay people at all costs. So you don't even know what slur he said to gay people. You do know what slur he said towards black people, right? But we're just supposed to be okay with this. And why is it that the N-word is always the slur that people are obsessed with? All slurs matter. No one ever accidentally says a Jewish slur. Like, people are petrified. If you put a gun to someone's head and say, hey, say a Jewish slur or I'm gonna pull the trigger. a lot of people say, man, just pull the trigger. I'm not saying a Jewish slur. My life will be over anyways if I say a Jewish slur, so just pull the trigger. But when it comes to the N word, suddenly people want to make all sorts of excuses and stuff, right? Let me guess, John Davidson grew up around black people too, right? So the N word that aired, it was heard on BBC One. The N word outburst during Jordan and Lindo's segment was a broadcast in the BBC's edited, delayed version of the ceremony. Viewers at home heard it and immediately sparked backlash. So, like I said, this was on a 2-hour delay. They edited the video. They heard that it said nigger and they said, yep, keep that in there. They heard that it said free Palestine. Yep, take that out of there, right? So people want to try to frame this as if, no, it wasn't bigoted because a disabled person said that. And I can get into the disabled aspect a little bit later. I'll let Professor Black Truth get into that. But as y'all can see, there were other slurs that were edited out. The only slur that wasn't edited out is nigger, right? It's just a word. Yeah, free Palestine. Those are just 2 words. Free is just a word. Palestine is just a word, a country, right? Calling someone a bitch is just a word, but those hold more weight than nigger, right? But then people will go around and say that, hey, you shouldn't cancel nobody over saying this word. Okay, fine. You shouldn't cancel people over saying any slurs. All slurs matter. So now let's get into the videos. So I'll be reacting to a video of the bigot known as Piers Morgan, right? And this is going to be a panel discussion right here. So let me just get right into the video. Piers Morgan has this on his channel, but I'm going to be watching this video. There's a channel called The Special Relationship. And this video is titled Piers Morgan Loses It When Cornered with Cold Hard Facts. So this is a panel of a cast of characters, and they will be addressing this issue about the BAFTA N-word slur. Let's get into it.
Dr. Soda, let me start by just playing something that you did as a video post on your X account, which has been viewed so far by 1.4 million people.
Some of you are getting on my last God-given nerves. The fact that I have to come up here to break down for you the ABCs 1, 2, 3 do-re-mis of racism, because some of you have the bombastic audacity to want to litigate the racial intent of a white man and absolve him of racism because of his disability. Now, I'm going to make time for you today. Let me say this in plain English because I'm not speaking Latin or Swahili. John Davidson is a racist white man with Tourette syndrome. And let me break this down for you. Tourette syndrome is a disability.
And looks like we've been joined by some illustrious guests. We got Last Call. Shout out to Last Call and Kimberly Black in the building. Let's get back into it.
Disability is not racism, and it does not make you racist. The Tourette syndrome simply brings out what is already in the heart, mind, and soul of the person speaking. Because as a man thinketh, so is he.
Now, I've got to be honest, Dr. Sherrill, that's one of the most disgraceful and shameful attacks on somebody with a medically diagnosed disability that I've ever had to endure and witness. Would you like to start by offering a profound apology to...
So Piers Morgan is going to be an apologist for the dude because they think that this dude going around calling people nigger and other epithets, that he's just a victim because he has to live with this disability. And I'm sure that this person does have, a tough time and a tumultuous life living with this condition, right? But that doesn't negate other people's sentiments, right? Yeah, you got called a nigger, but no, it was a disabled person, so you have to be comfortable with being called a nigger. Don't be sensitive, right? You know what I mean? You hear being called nigger all the time, and then we internalize it and say, yeah, well, I guess it is okay if we get called nigger. But then when you bring up another slur, they say, no, that's completely unacceptable, and we have to edit that slur out. Piers Morgan doesn't care about that. The only reason why he's making this case is because this dude uttered out nigger, right? He said other stuff, but that other stuff was cut. So you don't know about it. The only way that you know about it is because it was reported afterwards. But they intentionally put the nigger in there. And instead of criticizing the award ceremony, Piers Morgan is going to do this song and dance to make the dude who's calling people nigger, he's a victim because he has a disability. No, he's not a victim, right? He's a rich white dude with a disability. You know what I mean? So I don't get this whole thing. They always tell black people don't have a victim mentality, right? Kanye West has a mental disability, but no one cares because they said, oh, well, he said anti-Semitic stuff. Did he really, though? He said, I'm going DEF-CON on the Jews, but he, and they said DEF-CON is a defensive position. DEF-CON doesn't mean that you're going to blow anyone up. For him saying that, the Chase banks, they all dropped them. He dropped receipts of a bunch of Jewish people that were behind the scenes torturing him, threatening to take his kids, right? And he said that he had a mental breakdown. There were no people psychoanalyzing and saying, well, you got to understand how bipolar people act. Bipolar people are extremely unhinged, volatile, sometimes violent, incoherent. No one cared. He's anti-Semitic. No, the dude has a mental disability, but no one cares. This dude has a mental disability. He says nigger, nigger, nigger to a bunch of black people. He sees white people. Suddenly he has no slurs or epithets to them. You know what I mean? But, you're just supposed to accept it because it's a mental disability. Well, accept Kanye's mental disability. He didn't mean all that stuff that he said about the Jews. When he made that HH song, all my niggas saying how, you know what I mean? He made that because of his mental disability.
John Davidson, who, as anybody who understands Tourette syndrome knows, has absolutely no control over what he says, including any racial insults or slurs he may utter, because people with Tourette's have no control.
Oh, not just to, I noticed that you didn't play the whole video that actually addresses many other points, but not just to John Davidson, because I spoke about this in my live stream. I made an incorrect statement in my video. And by saying that having a bank of words or of vocabulary in your heart, mind, and soul it implies that anybody with a Tourette syndrome subscribe to what has come out of their mouth. So that in itself is harmful to that community. And that community is not just John Davidson. It also includes Black people with Tourette syndrome. So I most definitely, and I'll say that now, even though I apologized in my live stream yesterday, I unequivocally and apologetically, I'm sorry for for that incorrect statement, because that is incorrect. What I also said in my video, which you haven't played, is to address the impact on Black people. And my video was addressing those who are trying to weaponize his disability. So in my attempt to bridge the gap, to address them weaponize his disability to erase the lived experiences of Black people, I ended up creating a gap. And by creating that gap, I am responsible for closing it by acknowledging that it's an incorrect statement, apologizing because it's wrong, and then taking myself back to school to educate myself on Tourette's.
Well, it might have been helpful if you'd actually watched the movie or educated yourself about Tourette's before you launched this attack on John Davidson. You doubled down before the public. Well, hang on, before the public furore that came your way, which forced you into then backing down. You followed up.
It's not because of the public.
Let me finish my point. After John Davidson issued a statement explaining that he has no control over this, you refused to accept it. You said this has to be the whitest non-apology from John Davidson. It's exactly how racist white people don't take responsibility. Yes. Can we talk about it, or is that able?
Yeah, well, John Davidson, he gave an apology, but it was a generalized apology. He necessarily didn't apologize for the people that he hurt. He didn't directly. Now, maybe he did now, but at the time, he just apologized. Yeah, I have Tourette's, so I apologize, that I have Tourette's. No, did you apologize for the people that received the ire of his outburst, right? Yeah, he didn't mean to do it. If you accidentally hit someone's car, right, because you had some sort of neurological disorder that made your brain freeze, so you accidentally hit someone's car, you didn't intend to do that. But the impact of that incidental occurrence led to some sort of people's property damage. So you're not apologizing for your neurological disorder or your disability. You're apologizing for the impact that it had on others. So people are trying to frame it like he's a victim. Oh my God, he's disabled. Why are you guys going at the disabled people, right? He's a disabled millionaire, right? So no one's saying that he should be abused. He's not being canceled. He's not losing any work or anything. People just said, hey, what you did and said was offensive. Could you give a sincere and genuine apology? That's it. Somehow people like Pierce thinks that that's outlandish for you to even ask someone to apologize to the contingent of people that they harmed, right? And it's all framed as now, yeah, so what, these black actors got called a nigger at an award ceremony. We need to focus on the disability, right? And we need to be desensitized to being called nigger, but every other slur we need to censor out. You know what I mean? But Pierce is not going to go deep into this because he's on this little shtick where he has his cape out and he's pretending as if he's standing up for the disabled. Piers Morgan wouldn't be around this John Davison dude. And if he was around Piers Morgan saying a bunch of offensive things towards white people, he wouldn't say, yeah, he can't control it. So here. And actually, why won't he bring this dude on the Piers Morgan show? Since he's such an advocate for Tourette's people, he won't bring the dude on this show, but he will try to crash out for him? Okay.
He shouldn't be apologizing for his disability. So why is sorry the hardest thing to say for the impact of his words? So you carried on calling him a racist, even when he explained to you and to everyone who was calling them that actually he has no control over what he says.
I don't know if the dude is racist. It's a possibility. I know that Piers is an anti-black bozo and bigot. And whether the dude is racist, it doesn't really matter. He said something racist. So whether it was incidental or not, it doesn't matter if you're a racist to the core. What he said was racist. Is universally accepted. Calling people niggers is a racist statement. Now you can say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Okay, fine. Acknowledge that you said an unintended racist statement. Instead, they said it was strong language. No, it was racist language. See, when you talk about Jews, they don't say a strong language. They say that's anti-Semitic. You call a black person nigger. That was strong, offensive language. You can't even call a undocumented immigrant an illegal alien. An illegal alien is a legal term. You don't have to like it, right? Well, tell the Democrats and the Republicans to eradicate that term from the legal lexicon. But it's not. It's still in the lexicon. So illegal alien is an official and a legal term. There's no legal term called nigger, though. But people should champion that on. Man, we should say it, man. I heard it in a rap song. There was no rap music playing during that outburst, right? Let's get back into it.
Continued to call this man who has suffered his entire life from people stereotyping him in this manner.
And I appreciate you
to brand him a racist.
I appreciate you advocating.
And this shows the pathetic anti-blackness of Piers because, like Sarah says, the guy with the Tourette's wanted to apologize. He was mortified. So why does Piers have an issue? So like I said, the dude with the Tourette's, he wasn't really apologizing for his Tourette's. He's apologizing for the impact that his actions had on others. He's not saying, hey, I have Tourette's, so I'm apologizing because I have this disability. I'm apologizing if my disability has in an unintended way caused you guys harm or distress. That's what it's about. It's not saying, here, let me feel like a victim because I have Tourette's. No, he's been living with Tourette's, which is why he made the movie, which is why he is a wealthy, rich man who's dealing with a disability. You know, people have disabilities every day, bruh. Let's get back into it.
For him. But if you take the time to listen and watch my videos and everything else I've said, I've explained quite frankly that I understand that Tourette syndrome, how Tourette syndrome works in terms of the fact that the words come out involuntarily. But as I explained in my videos, racism does not require intent to be racist. That is why I said it was racist. That does not change. My apology does not change that. It is a racist statement that does not require intent. Tourette syndrome, what it does is it explains how it happens, doesn't justify why it happens, because impact is what defines it. So when I talked about what was being paraded as his apology, I don't think he called it an apology, but the newspapers and, you know, those with big platforms were calling it an apology. And I said, no, that is not an apology. When you say, I am mortified that you think this was intentional, I don't understand why people are calling this apology. And when I was speaking, I'm speaking to those, again, who are weaponizing his disability. That was.
And she is right. I get it. The dude may have felt bad and mortified and things like that. But the way he worded the first thing, that wasn't an apology. It was just saying, look, I feel bad and all this other stuff. But if you intentionally or unintentionally harm someone, your apology needs to be specific, right? Because the slur was hurled specifically at the two brothers who were on the stage. So when you give an apology, you need to specifically address them. Yes, the entire community who heard that watching live or on the replay, yeah, they could have been offended, but most of the target of that outburst went towards two specific people, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, right? And it turned into a statement more so than an apology, a statement where look at me and understand my disability more so than understand my disability. And I want to apologize for the impact that my disability had on others. Now that may have came later, but the initial statement, it really wasn't an apology. It was kind of like a nothing burger obfuscation, which is why some people were saying, and people were calling them racist, bigoted, etc. I'm not willing to go that far. Most of my ire is towards the institution of BAFTA more so than this person, John Davison. However, just because he has a disability doesn't mean he's above reproach. So like this lady says, she did say some inartful things in her first rant, which she took accountability for, owned up to it, and apologized and said, hey, I'm learning. You know, I said some insensitive or I misspoke, but now I'm equipped with the knowledge to speak with more clarity. And Piers Morgan is trying to pretend as if he's just some defender of disabled rights. When have you ever heard Piers Morgan talk about anyone disabled? And if this disabled person was black, would he care? No, there's plenty of black people with Tourette's who don't go around calling people yaggots, niggers, wetbacks, spics, chinks, gooks. They don't say that. Oops. They can't control themselves. That's not what's happening. You know what I mean? So, and the majority of people weren't even really mad at bro. They was like, okay, you called the two brothers niggers. You know what I mean? The least you can do is directly apologize to those two brothers. Instead, it's being made about, you don't understand the disability, and no, nigger is just a part of having Tourette's. It's like, now it's getting into the disingenuous nature, and this is why some people are saying maybe the dude really is racist after all. I can't confirm that. However, he did say some racist stuff, and that's just period, point blank.
What that was about. And let me just say, Piers, I'm not holding him to a different standard, or BAFTA or BBC, because as you rightly pointed out, about it, some words were being blipped out, and we just understood that BBC also blipped out a homophobic slur that he had uttered, but they deliberately left this N-word in. That's not what this is about. I am explaining and trying to address the fact that we are being called ableist, we're being told to be silent, we're being told that we should not have the right to react. And I'm trying to be, and I'm also being considered, not even trying. I understand the harm that statement will make to the entire.
So just because I won't be here for a long time, I'm going to fast forward and get some of the other perspectives. So let's get back into it.
doesn't want a resolution.
Now that we know all the facts about this, what is your view of it?
Well, for one, I think the reason that this movie came out and why it's important is because a lot of people don't know exactly what Tourette's is all about and why people are making the exclamations that they're actually making. So I appreciate the gracious apology of the guest that got the facts wrong. And I expect that a lot of the other folks in Hollywood who might have rushed to the judgment that this man had some control over the epithets that he used was wrong. But in some respects, I think the bigger story and the focus here shouldn't be about random people who don't really know very much about Tourette's, which again is why this movie is valuable in the first place, to help people to understand the ailment better, the disability better. But the response of BAFTA and how they selectively chose which kinds of remarks were appropriate to edit out of the delayed broadcast and which were appropriate to include. The fellow panelist here, Nerdrotic, mentioned earlier that why aren't we talking about the other exclamations? Why aren't we talking about the homophobic exclamations, et cetera? I think that's a good question. And part of the answer to that is because those were edited out. BAFTA decided that those were offensive to people, that the viewing audience should not be privy to those. And moreover, edited out not just exhortations from the audience, but the intentional reference to freeing Palestine in a speech by someone who was being rewarded for their work and honored and respected that night, because that was too sensitive, ostensibly, I presume, to certain viewers, not because they're in a protected class or have an identity, but because they support Zionism as an ideology. So BAFTA is an organization with a great deal of power here, as opposed to Jamie Foxx or random people who I agree obviously don't know very much about Tourette's, or they wouldn't have said what they said. But why is it that the same care that was given to the LGBT community or any others that might have been offended that night was not extended to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo? And specifically, to go to Dr. Shola's point, at what point are we going to take any time in this conversation to ask what BAFTA owed to the presenters, including the two Black presenters, to protect them and to honor their dignity as they stood there at the podium that night and tried to do their jobs?
So that's an interesting point. I know Michael B. Jordan a bit, and he's a really good guy. I think he's a great actor. I've got a lot of admiration for him, and I think the way they conducted themselves in the moment was exemplary. They didn't get thrown off by it. They didn't say anything about it. They just let it ride.
This is the most insidious part of the argument. Brianna Joy Gray rightly points out, age peers would have.
You might not be meant for the room, sis, because not the fact that he is Alan Davidson. You know, I feel like BBC really should be taking a lot of this responsibility for the fact that they did not edit this out. And like you guys said, they had 2 hours to address that. And I got to say, watching progressives debate whether they're going to defend ableism or racism has been one of the highlights of my year. And when it comes to John Davidson, I don't think he's racist. And obviously, knowing and understanding Tourette syndrome, it is unfortunate that he has to deal with this condition and that this is something that is regular for him. I respect the fact that he is out there raising awareness for Tourette syndrome, but he also needs to have some self-awareness. If your impulses are to the point that you cannot stop yourself from screaming the hard R N-word out on live television, then you might not be meant for the room, sis, because not everybody needs to be uncomfortable and have to sit there and be subject to these outbursts, these racist outbursts, or racist sounding outbursts, I should say, just because we are trying to support that he is putting this documentary out. So I think it's a stretch to sit here and condemn John Davidson, but I do think that John Davidson should not have been in the room in the first place if we were going to run into these situations and if BBC was not going to do any kind of...
But that's okay. But
Javier, you're saying they should
segregate. Honestly, he is screaming racist outbursts in the room.
Okay.
You're literally saying...
Yes, I'm saying that they should segregate him. He should be in the room, but no, he shouldn't be in the front. So let's see what the definition is, right? Segregate, set apart from the rest or from each other, isolate, divide, right? I say that he should have been in there. He should have just not been in the front. They could have had a segment where they film him waving hands, you know what I mean? And they put him on the big screen. This isn't about hatred towards him. He's one man, right? they expect millions of people to tune in to this audience. So you want millions of people to be subjected to an unintended outburst? No one is saying that this dude is a demon and he should be denigrated based on his disability, but he also shouldn't be propped up and given preferential treatment based on his disability that overshadows the enjoyment of the rest of the attendees. You know what I mean? So it's almost like if you have a newborn baby and you want to go to the movies, it's the new movie. Everybody wants to see the movie, but your baby can't control that they're and people gonna start making like, damn, why the hell did you bring that baby to the movie theaters? What you want me to segregate my baby? Actually, I do. Like, why do you have that baby at the theater? You know what I mean? There's other days that you can come. There's other means that you can do to watch the movie. So there were other contingencies that they could have put in place to see that this dude was still there. He was still celebrated, but he wasn't doing all of these outbursts because nigger is just the one that they put in there. Apparently, he was just saying a whole bunch of offensive stuff. So we're supposed to sit at the awards and just tolerate that and act like nigger, gook, spick, wetback. No. He has Tourette's, so he didn't mean it like that. Oh, okay. I thought he said nigger and mean it. He said nigger and he has Tourette's, so it's all good, bro. Don't trip. Huh? Shit don't even make any sense. Why the hell was he mic'd up? Why was he so close to the front? Even asking these questions or saying, you're attacking the disabled. No. Wasn't this award ceremony supposed to have some sort of decorum? Fine. Y'all didn't do the stuff. Y'all chose to mic him up. Y'all chose to put him near the front where his epithets and outbursts can be picked up. The least and the very least that you can do is edit it out. And since you didn't edit it out, then say it with your chest. Say that you wanted Black people to be heard being called nigger. There's no other explanation. You're being woke. Cancel culture, CRT, DEI. DEI had no reason why they were called nigger. CRT had no reason why they were called nigger. Affirmative action had no reason why they were called nigger. Right? So just say it with your chest and say that we wanted to promote the N-word. Just stop pretending, because they found a way to edit free Palestine, but nigger, yeah, we keeping that in here. There, that's a must.
Remove the disabled guy about whom the movie was made, because people cannot get their heads around what Tourette syndrome is. It's ridiculous.
Was it possible to simply see him?
Well, I don't think that everybody in the room should have to sit there and listen to that.
I think safeguards should have been
actually, you know what? Actually, people, please don't all talk. Please, I'm talking to Javier at the moment. Javier, surely the whole point is they should, to understand the hell of Tourette syndrome. Actually, sometimes.
So now Piers Morgan said that they should have to endure this dude in the front seat mic'd up so they can endure the hell. No, he's calling people nigger, and it's good that you guys heard that so you can see that the hell he's going through. He doesn't want to be shouting out nigger, but it's good for you guys to hear that, because now you'll understand the hell that people with Tourette's live through. There's countless videos. You don't have to take my word for it. Look it up. There's plenty of people with Tourette's giving their testimony and said, yeah, I have Tourette's. Yeah, I do outbursts. And yeah, I sometimes say offensive stuff. But I've never said nigger in my entire life. And then fine, let's just say that they said nigger and all these other slurs. Why is no one ever accidentally saying any Jewish slurs? No one ever incidentally, purposely says any Jewish slurs. They have Tourette's that will say every slur except for a Jewish one. Okay, make it make sense.
You have to listen to uncomfortable things. Right, when I watch the movie, it's very uncomfortable in parts. He says very uncomfortable, very offensive things repeatedly, right? But then you begin to realize quite quickly he has no control over any of this, and nothing to do with it indicates his real state of mind. and to judge him accordingly and to say, right, yeah, we've got this movie and we're going to give an actor an award for playing you, but you're not allowed in the room because some oversensitive actors might be upset by stuff even when they're told you have no control over it and it's not your real thinking. My message.
If he had said a Jewish slur, would Piers Morgan be calling them oversensitive? People won't even say the Jewish slur. A lot of people don't even know what the Jewish slurs are. See, people don't just stop at the N word. They say nigga and then they say nigger. No, I didn't say nigger. I said nigga. It had a A, but they never try to add a A to any other slur to soften it up. I didn't say wet back. I said wet back. I didn't say gook. I said gook. I didn't say chink. I said chink. Huh? The shit don't even make any sense. But then when it comes to the Jewish slurs, they don't even say it. They won't even say the K word, right? They won't say Ike and put a K in front of it. And there's other Jewish slurs, but that's one of the most vile, grotesque ones. And people won't even say that. They'll say it's the Jews. They'll say that the Jews are running the country and it's a secret cabal of Jews, which I don't believe, but let's just say that that is true. Wouldn't those be the people be worthy of a slur? Those people are allegedly, reportedly, theoretically running the country into the ground with the Kalergi plan and all sorts of other nonsense. But yet you don't call them a slur. You say that they're the big bad boogeyman who's calling all of this destruction and despair, but you don't call them a slur. But you'll call some black person who's going to church, that's a nigger. That person is a law-abiding citizen who goes to church every Sunday and is raised on Christian values. So what? They're a nigger, right? But the white Jewish people, why is there no slurs for them? And then the slurs that you do have, you're afraid to use them. You know what I mean? Okay. Y'all know my saying and slogan, all slurs matter. If you're obsessed with using the N word, let's just use them all, right? It's just a word, right?
To those actors is grow the fuck up. No offense given or taken.
Disrespectful. Now you're just being outrightly disrespectful. I think Xavier was explaining.
Now he's saying we're sensitive and grow the fuck up about being called a nigger. Okay, fine. Well, we will grow the fuck up. So now when I use these other slurs, because all slurs matter, everybody just needs to grow the fuck up, right? It's just a word.
Told you have no control over it and it's not your real thinking. My message to those actors is grow the fuck up. No offense given or taken.
Disrespectful. Now you're just being outrightly disrespectful. I think Xavier was explaining what he was thinking. I don't agree that John Davidson shouldn't be in the room. I think that there should have been appropriate, safeguards put in place, including bleeping out the words when it comes out. But for you to say that black actors should grow the F up, for you to use those dismissive words, that's exactly why I came out so angry when I saw all the comments to address the bombastic, sarcastic of people like you that would say it is okay for black people to just deal with it because he has Tourette syndrome, which only explains how it happens. It doesn't justify why it happens. And racism does not require intent to be racist. So while I accept that my ignorance,
and like I told y'all, I won't be here for a long time, but a strong time. So I've only got about like 20 more minutes left, but I had to give a shout out to none other than Miss Jackie Gaines coming through with the 5 ball. Says B-Eazy, TGIF, always great commentary. Thanks and salute to the lovely Miss Jackie Gaines. And just to give y'all some inspiration, you know what I mean? If you're feeling generous, it won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. But if you feel like foregoing on that Starbucks or the McDonald's, which is disgusting, then you can hit your boy on the Cash App or on the Super Chat or Super Sticker. So let me give y'all a reminder.
Pull a string, Red. Pull a string. Will you pull a string? Woman, where's my money? Where's this money?
For the love of money. Gotta make that money, man. Gotta make that money, man.
We back at it.
in that moment harmed the community, both, black, brown, and white, who have Tourette's. And that is not my intention. And my intention is irrelevant because the impact is real. So I take responsibility for that.
And thank you, last call. Last call, I'm gonna have to. Are you in Cali? Last call, where you at? Or I think you might be in the East Coast. But last call, hey, I gotta send you a shirt as well. All slurs matter. Why should we let the N-word reign supreme, right? They always talk about affirmative action and DEI, right? So why should the N-word be the pinnacle of all slurs? No, there's so many other slurs that you can use. But remember, I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the same endearing way that you mean when you say nigga, right? So when I call somebody a spick, I don't really mean it with the negative connotation. I mean it with the utmost respect and all the endearing connotations attached to it. Let's get back into it.
On top of that, Pierce, on top of that, you just said that when he said F to the queen, that, she waved it off, she was gracious. But what you don't say is that he said sorry. And that sorry closes the cycle. And the sorry, just goes that bit long way, it helps with the education. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand how everybody's saying, go watch the movie, which I actually encourage everybody to go. I intend to. And you want to educate everyone about the movie. Then you're saying, when you experience any impact from anyone with Tourette's, don't expect that, you would not expect even, sorry. You're acting as though it is too much for Black people. And
there's a moment in the movie. All right, let me educate you. Let me educate you about the movie. Let me educate you about the movie, which you haven't watched. And I wish you had watched it before you rushed to judgment and kept calling him a racist. In the movie, one of the most powerful moments comes when he's with his adoptive family. And the mother, who is a qualified therapist, says to him when he apologizes for being abusive at a small family event, she says, one thing you need to be absolutely clear. You never have to apologize again for when you say these things, because she knew he didn't mean it and he didn't intend to offend. And therefore, an apology is pointless because he's apologizing for something he doesn't mean to do. He can't stop himself from doing. And that's the whole point, actually, of the movie, which you failed to understand. And the point I was making about grow the fuck up, that's directed at anybody who rushed to judgment.
It's not being directed at anybody.
Wait a minute. Let me finish my point. Anybody who knew about Tourette's syndrome, who then professes to be hurt or offended or upset by anything that a Tourette's syndrome sufferer says, they need to grow the fuck up. I've not seen statements from Michael B. Jordan or the other actor on stage where they express fury about what happened, right? So I'm not directing it at them. I'm saying anybody who is aware of Tourette's syndrome, aware of the reality, as Dr. Siegel pointed out earlier, about the fact there's no brain.
So Piers is saying if you have Tourette's syndrome, you can say anything and it's idiotic for you to demand an apology. You shouldn't have to apologize for anything. So what if you get called a nigger? He didn't mean it. So what are you getting mad for? Why are you being oversensitive about being called a nigger by someone who couldn't control it? You were being sensitive and you need to get over it. Does anyone think that this would be the response if he said any Jewish slurs?
Tank here of thought processes which spill out because finally you get to go the real thing. It's not that. They have no control. So to me, Nadrotic, I don't understand why anyone's forcing him to apologize. They should watch the bloody movie and understand the whole point is he was told, stop apologizing for this. You can't help it. And that's what you do, by the way. That's what you do with people who are disabled. But before we let you go, Dr. Mark.
So now he's a champion for the disabled. And let me give a shout out to the hardest working mod in YouTube, Vibrant Law, in the building. And also shout out to RS11. I only probably got 10, 15 minutes more left. I told you I won't be here for a long time, but it will be a strong time. And Princess Veronica says garbage. Who are you saying is garbage? Piers Morgan, BAFTA. Could you elaborate on that? Now let's get back into it. I'm going to try to fast forward a little bit because Piers Morgan is kind of babbling incoherently. And you already know that he tells black people just get over being called a nigger. It's just a word.
Begin to explain how upset and distraught I've been as the impact from Sunday sinks in. And that is heartbreaking to me, that he has been made to say that and then gets bullied into then having to say sorry for a condition he has no control over. Where is the compassion and empathy from the...
Now he's saying the dude was bullied into saying sorry. There was no gun to his head forcing him to say sorry. He said some racist language, whether he intended it or not. The language was racist. There's plenty of people that get into accidents that they don't intend to hit people. Whether you intend to hit me or not, there's still damages to my car. Who should pay for those, right? I should just say, oops, you're disabled, so you didn't mean to hit my car. So you know what? It's all good, bro. Even though my car is totaled, don't trip, bro. You're disabled. No, it don't even work like that. So even if he's disabled and he hurt someone, just because he didn't intend to hurt them, allegedly, doesn't mean that you diminish the impact that it had on certain people. And according to Piers, he's just saying, get over it, right? Why didn't these people get over hearing Free Palestine? They didn't get over Free Palestine. They deleted it. Why didn't they get over homophobic slurs, which no one knows? See, we know that he shouted out nigger, but you don't even know what the homophobic slur was. So let's just assume that it was maggot with an F in front, right? Those are considered unacceptable, but nigger is considered acceptable. And people like Piers are just like, grow the fuck up, grow the fuck up. Okay, fine. When I say slurs, for every ethnic group, everybody needs to grow the fuck up because all slurs matter. The N-word shouldn't just reign supreme. There's so many other slurs that we can use.
Compassion and empathy demanders. Brianna, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, I think there's been a lot of characterization of people's apologies as being forced. It feels to me like Dr. Shola voluntarily gave a very gracious apology. Yeah, I am not following what's been going on with you, but from what I've seen today, it seems like you got necessary pushback about the nature of the disease. You responded now that you were no longer ignorant of what Tourette's is all about, and it seemed very sincere, and I really appreciate what you've said today. Similarly, I think it's reasonable that a person with Tourette's who knows that they've offended people and who feels the shame that you just described, Piers, will want to apologize and make that known. I haven't seen any evidence that he was forced or that his apology wasn't also sincere and that we shouldn't.
So you would like everybody, just to be clear, Brianna, just to be clear, you would like John Davison to go around. Sorry, Shudder, your name is not Brianna. Brianna, you would like John Davison to go around and make 50 to 100 public apologies every single day of his life, would you? To everyone he offends with his takes.
But if I look, this is not a
no. So who do you exclude? Okay, so just to be clear, Brianna.
Look how unhinged Piers is getting, bro. Let her talk, dude. This is Piers Morgan uncensored, but he does seem like he's trying to censor her in favor of getting his narrative out. We already know, Piers, you're saying the same thing over and over. He said, nigger, get over it. Stop complaining. Okay, fine. All slurs matter then. Get over all these other slurs. But see, the thing is, when you say things about white people that are not even a slur, it just may be insulting language or harsh rhetoric that's not a slur or epithet. Piers Morgan comes with his cape. How could you attack white people? And then when it comes to black people, yeah, you got called nigger, but grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? Okay. And Piers Morgan is always calling something wokety woke. You know what I mean?
Brianna, you said no. So just to be clear, who should he not be apologizing to?
If I went to a wedding with a crying baby or had a horrible cold and interrupted the ceremony, even though it was not my intention, I would make an apology.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with Dr. Shola Z. Sarah. It sounds like you might be familiar with her. Sounds like she was standing on business, so salute to her. I was unfamiliar with her work, and Z. Sarah says her books are brilliant. Z. Sarah, I got to get you on the show to talk some UK politics. But Kimberly says, I've worked with neurological patients with Tourette syndrome. They tend to say words and sentences involuntarily, but they are words and sentences that they are familiar with and have heard and said before, right? This wasn't the first time of him saying nigger, but it's like, yeah, just get over it because he can't control it. Well, could he control what he consumes? Because how are those words even in his vocabulary and lexicon? But suddenly Jewish or Asians or none of those other slurs are in there. And I'm not saying other groups and other ethnic groups should be bullied or targeted, but since they're saying and downplaying nigger that it's just a word and it's not that big a deal, if nigger ain't a big deal, then no slurs are a big deal. So I encourage everyone to continue to use more slurs. All slurs matter. New merch coming soon.
Not because I did anything wrong purposefully, but because I know I negatively impacted somebody's special day. And that comes from me because I want to show grace to the people that I care about. And if Davidson similarly wants to make amends to people that he thinks he the crying baby or had a horror.
You would like John Davison to go around. Sorry, Shirley, your name is not Brianna. Brianna, you would like John Davison to go around and make 50 to 100 public apologies every single day of his life, would you? To everyone he offends with his takes.
But if I look, this is not a
no. So who do you exclude? Okay, so just to be clear, Brianna, you said no. So just to be clear, who should he not be apologizing to?
If I went to a wedding with a crying baby or had a horrible cold and interrupted the ceremony, even though it was not my intention, I would make an apology, not because I did anything wrong purposefully, but because I know I negatively impacted somebody's special day. And that comes from me because I want to show grace to the people that I care about. And if Davidson similarly wants to make amends to people that he thinks he wants because of the grace in his own heart to make amends to, I think that's a beautiful thing that we should honor in the same way that we should honor.
Do you know what I love? I just think that's such a... I'm sorry. That is such a, sorry, Brianna, that is such a crock of crap. The idea that you're still continuing, because you're still continuing to go after this guy, right? You want...
What the fuck is Piers Morgan talking about, bruh? He's acting like this dude is just some victim because he said nigger. Like, okay, fine, you got a disability, you yelled nigger at some black folks, and you had to apologize, and now he's a victim? Actually, he didn't have to apologize. He chose to apologize. And Piers Morgan is crashing out and making it seem like this dude just survived Jim Crow or something just because somebody said, hey, bro, you offended a lot of people. And now what, he has to apologize? He shouldn't have to apologize because he's disabled, and he's only saying nigger because he has Tourette's. Come on, bruh. Piers Morgan hasn't been... Have y'all seen Piers Morgan is mad about Epstein pedo list? No, but he's mad because some black people, and it's not even all black people, some black people are saying, yeah, man, I was offended by this dude having a racist outburst. Even if it was unintended, you know, I didn't like hearing that. That's all people are saying. Nobody is saying send them to the Hague and burn them at the stake. That's not what's happening. No one is saying defund the Tourette's research or something. Nobody is saying that. All people are saying is like, hey, BAFTA, why did y'all air this? If y'all know that this dude has a proclivity for uttering racial and offensive epithets, why the fuck was he in the front? I don't get why this is just some mysterious question. He deserves to be in the front. So what if he's yelling slurs? Okay, but once again, just ask yourself this. If it was a Jewish slur, would Piers Morgan be talking like this? We all know the answer.
He thinks he wants because of the grace in his own heart to make amends to. I think that's a beautiful thing that we should honor in the same way that we should honor. Do you know what I love?
I just think that's such a... I'm sorry. That is...
And this is why I said that what the dude said was racist. I can't definitively say that he is a racist. He just said some racist things. It's almost like Dave Chappelle, right? Dave Chappelle jokes were racist, you know what I mean? But they were intended to be racist and to be lighthearted and be funny. Most of the racist jokes were against black people, right? All of the derogatory stereotypes and things. But Black people didn't see Dave Chappelle as racist, so they were okay with Dave Chappelle making racist jokes. George Carlin, a legend, made racist jokes. Richard Pryor, racist jokes, but they weren't racist people. And some of the jokes are racist and some are racial. So there's a difference, and sometimes it's a thin line between the two. So this dude made a racist statement, whether he intended to or not. The statement was still racist.
Sorry, Brianna, that is such a crock of crap. The idea that you're still continuing to go after this guy, right? You want more pounds of flesh from this guy.
It was lovely for him to choose to apologize. I'm giving him a compliment.
What about people apologize? What about Jamie? But Brianna, do you think? Hang on, Javier. Brianna, do you think Jamie Foxx should apologize?
I think that he was clearly wrong about Tourette's and the intent behind Tourette's. And if I were him, I would. I'd say, sorry, just like Dr. Shola did. Sorry, I didn't realize that the nature of the disease is that it makes you want to say exactly what you shouldn't say, and that it wasn't some exaltation of like deeply repressed racism. I would, but I also think it's really interesting that there's this focus on cherry-picked celebrities who didn't know anything about Tourette's or didn't know enough about Tourette's and said the wrong thing, and not on the institution of BAFTA and the BBC, who chose to broadcast the N-word and not broadcast Free Palestine. That says a lot more about the power in our society and who should be getting pushback.
Well, on that, I think we all agree. On that, I think we all agree.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, please? Do you know what caucasity is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What caucasity means. So caucasity.
Yeah, I've got it. I can explain to viewers.
No, don't worry. I will help you out. I will help you out. I'm just saying.
I know what it is. You asked me if I know what it is.
It's okay. You don't need to read it. I can tell you. Caucasity is a reference of to the bold, shameless, entitled arrogance of white people displaying white privilege and racism to Black and brown people. You know what, Piers? You've just been entirely caucastic to 3 Black people on this stage. You've had the caucasity to not only
here we go. I've been caucastic, have I?
You might learn something. You've also had the caucasity to say what we are saying is a crock of this, say that we have no right to expect an apology. None of you people.
Well, no, you have, and I've got a right to say it's bullshit.
You people did not say that to Kanye West when he was being anti-Semitic to Jewish people. None of you held him to the different standard that you're.
Actually, I did. I literally did.
Let me finish.
I literally did.
Over me. No, you did not.
Well, why are you lying? Why are you lying?
I'm not lying. My point is,
I literally did that to Kanye West.
Absolutely being disrespectful to the 3 Black people here.
Yeah.
You're being dismissive and you're being disrespectful to what we explained to you. You're saying you shouldn't expect any apology. Why? Because you wish to center.
Yeah. Let me just explain to you. Let me just remind people.
Kanye West is bipolar, but Piers Morgan would never say that Jewish people shouldn't expect an apology because Kanye West outburst, that wasn't really him. He's bipolar. He can't control himself, right? No, he knew what he was doing. He's anti-Semitic. Okay, but he's bipolar, right? That's a medical condition. So did Kanye, was he in his right mind or was he in his disabled, mentally deficient mind?
Yeah, I've had my lecture.
We understand his story. We do.
Fine.
That's why I apologize.
You had no idea. The truth is, okay, stop talking. The truth is, you had no idea about his story, and you cared even less
and that's
to remind
why I made
people.
An apology.
To remind people, you mentioned caucasity. Let's remind viewers what you said when you used that word. I'll play the video post you posted again, which is what triggered this. Let's watch this again. Let's watch it again.
Yes.
Let's watch it again.
Some of you are getting on my last God-given nerves. The fact that I have to come up here to break down for you the ABCs 1, 2, 3 do-re-mis of racism, because some of you have the bombastic audacity to want to litigate the racial intent of a white man and absolve him of racism because of his disability. Now, I'm going to make time for you today. Let me say this in plain English because I'm not speaking Latin or Swahili. John Davidson is a racist white man with Tourette syndrome. And let me break this down for you. Tourette syndrome is a disability. Disability is not racism, and it does not make you racist. The Tourette syndrome simply brings out what is already in the heart mind, and soul of the person speaking. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. And I've apologized.
Yeah, no, don't start talking, Dr. Shola. Much as I will take lectures from you, I'd rather shoot myself, frankly, because what you did to John Davison, as I said at the start, was one of the most disgusting attacks on a disabled person I have.
No, what Piers Morgan is doing is disgusting. And this is what people always do. They'll call you a nigger and say, it's just a word. Well, guess what else is just a word? Racist, right? How could you call me a racist? You mean a word? It's just a word, right? They don't want you to trip off being called nigger, but they have a complete meltdown about being called racist. Nigger, word. Racist, word. What's the difference again? There weren't a bunch of people getting lynched saying, lynch those racists. They weren't saying lynch those niggers, though. There weren't people saying sick the dogs on those races. They did sick the dogs on niggers, though. So all these people, oh my God, John Davison got called a racist. He's a rich, disabled dude. He's a victim. And why are black people mad? Because they're being called niggers. It's like, bruh, Piers Morgan, are you fucking kidding me, bruh? I'm about to get ready to shut her down because listening to Piers Morgan is making my stomach queasy and I don't want to vomit live stream. So let me just play these last seconds so I can get up out of here.
I've ever seen. You branded the poor man a racist because you're a race-baiting clown. Anyway, we weren't going to... Okay, whatever. I'm not listening to you. You've exposed yourself for what you are. You're a vile, race-baiting clown.
It doesn't change
you hear me?
the fact that the statement is racist. It doesn't change the fact that black people are impacted by the N-word being said by a white person. We're being impacted.
Yeah, and you know what? Tourette's people are impacted when you call them racist. Tourette's people are impacted, but you want to move that on to call everybody else a racist because that's always what you do. And honestly, it is disgusting. It's disgusting.
And there is the meltdown. Brianna.
All right, that's the video right there. The dude is going to give his commentary, but don't need to hear that. But this is extremely pathetic, especially on Piers Morgan part, because he's saying that someone being called a racist, oh my God, how could you do that? That's disgusting. Okay, but someone being called a nigger is not disgusting. Okay. And then before I get up out of here, we've been joined sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than the diamond in the building. And he's not only crazy, he's a kooky clown. And like Kimberly says, I was just about to say that, not race baiting. If she was a race baiter, why would he bring her on the show? If she's a known race baiter, which is some propaganda, why would you bring a race baiter on the show to only complain about race baiters, right? That's like bringing a pedo on the show and say, you're a pedo. Yeah, but you knew that. So why would you bring this pedo on the show? You're a gangster. You're a thug. Yeah, why would you bring this thug ass nigga on the show if you already knew that? She's a race baiter and he's supposedly against race baiting because that's woke. But you brought her on your show? How pathetic could you be, Piers Morgan? And I want to give a humongous shout out to all of these people that viewed this live concurrently and that will be watching this on the replay. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. I do kind of got a hard stop. So I'm going to go ahead and hit y'all like this and get up out of here.
You're not going anywhere.
B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name.